It's funny, we got a little bit of rain today, but oddly enough, it seems like the wood is burning better than it did yesterday and the day before. What's up, what's up, what's up? Glitch and Riley in the house. Glitch and Riley in the house. 2 members, look at that. 2 members. We got members over here. Shit. One second, y'all. 1 second. I don't know why my phone wants to do that sometimes. Okay. Damn it, fire. Will you just fucking get up and going, please? Motherfucker. Alright, hold on. My fire was going good, but then I decided I was too hot and pushed away, and then it kind of fell apart. So now I've got to get some more stuff that'll burn good for me to have a light to work with. And then I'm going to blow on it. It'll take me a second. There we go. Finally. So yeah, this will be like, what, the second or third day of me talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination? But that's what's in the news, and it's one of those situations where I think the news is right to be so hyper-focused on it. Because I think that this represents a sharpening, an intensification, if you will. I wonder if I have anything that I can use to, like... Sorry, I'm sitting right next to a fire, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get it stoked enough that it quits putting off so much fucking smoke, because right now it's putting off way too much smoke. Yeah, I need to get me one of those fancy fire pits that separates the wood a little bit from the ash, because this is entirely an airflow problem. Anyway, I know how to start a fire, bro. I'm just having fucking problems because I'm a moron and did something I knew better. God damn it. I hate it when this happens. Fuck. Ugh, I'm gonna choke. Man. It's just gonna be one of those days, huh? I probably should have just filmed this in the office trailer, to be honest with you guys. But I didn't know the fucking wind would be doing this. That right now, with the direction the breeze is going, it's literally blowing the smoke directly into my fucking face. Like, directly into my face. So I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do. I mean, the obvious answer is move, but man, I just spent an hour getting this shit ready. Damn it. Okay, well, is what it is. I guess I'm gonna fucking have to figure some shit out here. I gotta figure out somewhere else to sit where I'm not, breathing in wood smoke all night. Damn. God damn it. I've got the most annoying setup ever for a fire, by the way. Like, it is not easy to just, shift it around. I'm kind of afraid to shift things around because every time I move that table, half the shit I put on there falls off. So, maybe if I move over this way, because it doesn't seem like the smoke is really going too bad this way. So I guess I could move yeah, I guess that's what I'll do. I really can't figure out any other way to not sit and smoke all night, so. One bad fucking thing about this table is that for some reason the legs are uneven. So anytime I move it, I have to block it up basically so that it's not moving all over the place and shifting every time I put something on it or take something off of it. I'm gonna have to take off my glasses for a second. Man, this is the most fun thing ever, isn't it? New rule, whenever I do a stream where I'm doing this outside campfire shit, I'm going to sit by the fire for at least 20 minutes to make sure that it's actually going good, because this shit is bullshit and I feel bad for you guys and I'm sorry. Maybe? Maybe? Maybe. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Ah. Fuck. God damn it. Fucking... Whoever built this chair put a handle on it, but then didn't make the handle actually useful in any way. Like, you can't actually use it to move the chair, or it just fucking breaks off. Okay. Well, maybe now, with all that stupid bullshit taken care of, maybe now I can finally fucking start to fucking talk. Fuck me. Oh, Jesus, that made me sweaty. Holy shit. Okay. Well, now that we're all in here, sorry about that. I had set up all nice to do the stream, and then basically as soon as I got to talking to you guys, the smoke went right in my face. I tried to deal with it for a second, but I just couldn't. I don't know about y'all, but I cannot talk and think properly with a bunch of smoke in my face. So anyway, now that that shit's over with, what's up, everybody? If you asked me something earlier, feel free to repeat it, by the way, because I would not have seen it. Oh, and since everybody's here, make sure you guys hit that like button. There are 85 people watching right now. If half of you guys hit that like button, that would be 40 likes instantly. So please, double tap your screen. It really does help. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty fucking worried. So one of the things that has come out, there was a bulletin released from the field office that's investigating, the FBI field office that's investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination. There was a bulletin sent out from them to the broader FBI that apparently says that there was symbols and text etched in the casings of the round that was left in the rifle, as well as 2 additional rounds that might have trans and anti-fascist messaging, apparently. This was basically the exact opposite of what I was hoping for in my position. I don't want anybody to run around thinking this means that this is a leftist that did it. This could easily be some right-wing person trying to cover their tracks. It could be some crazy person with no political affiliations whatsoever that's trying to cover their tracks. But the fact that this is now going to be an association that the right is going to make, because, see, I think the association would fall off if it was just the president saying, oh, this is probably the far left. We need to crack down on the far left. It was all the right-wing commentators did. I really don't think a lot of people in the center would give a shit. But it's the fact that now maybe it's being invoked by the killer themselves. If it comes out that that's genuine, if it comes out that this is a person who's harbored anti-fascist viewpoints for a really long time, if it comes out that this is a person who's been leftist and recorded as such for a long time online, it is going to become utter hell to be an outwardly progressive, marginalized person of any kind. And I don't think it should be. I don't believe in guilt by association, but you can't lie to me and say that's not what's going to happen. Stop with your victim seeking? Bro, I ain't victim seeking. I'm pointing out that if this turns out to be some genuinely held position that the shooter actually did believe in, it's going to be it's going to be a shit show for anybody on the left. It is going to be, and I'm not saying it's not already. There are already plenty of people willing to make anti-trans, anti-queer arguments, etc. It's not exactly the most uncommon thing in the world, but this is going to make it more common. This is going to make it worse. This is going to give the right unnecessary ammunition. And I was talking about this last night. It kind of already has. They've already made him kind of a martyr figure. But if it comes out that the shooter actually had leftist ideation, dude, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a fucking mess. He isn't a martyr. He seems to be for some people on the right. It sure seems like a lot of people on the right are lionizing fucking Charlie Kirk. I don't think it's going to start storming, but I guess if it does, we might have to get out of here. If it does start storming, I'll have to bring us inside. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. There are 204 people watching. If half of you guys hit that like button, that would be 102 likes instantly. So double tap your screen. It really does help. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people who can engage with the chat. So please do hit that button. Which version of leftist are you? That's actually a really good question, because there are a bunch of different permutations. I would say that I'm the like anarcho-syndicalist variety of leftist, somewhere like that. Night of Long Knives. My Trump is unconvinced that Trump did not do it, or my dad is unconvinced. Well, let's just go through it. Let's cover that conspiracy theory real quick, since you're not the only person I've seen floating this idea. And I see a super chat from Miley, so I'll get to that next. But you're not the only person who's floating this idea, and nor is your dad. It's an idea that I've seen a lot of people kind of discussing and wondering about and putting out there. Do I think that's 100% what's going on? I don't know. And that, perhaps, is scarier than knowing. See, if we knew that this is just a right-wing attempt at an American Night of Long Knives, then we could fight it, I would argue, more easily. I would argue that if we knew for a fact this was some kind of right-wing attempt at a Night of Long Knives, then we could try our best to fight it as if it's that. We could attack it in rhetoric, knowing it's that. The fact that we don't know is more dangerous than certain knowledge would be in this situation. Because it's making the response muddled. Nah, okay, that one kind of made me laugh. Charlie canceled his tour due to a neck cramp. Here's the fucking thing, guys. Charlie Kirk is not some big loss. We all agree there. I'm not saying he is. Charlie Kirk literally justified his own fucking assassination years before it happened, saying that some deaths from gun violence are necessary because we have to have that as a price to pay for the Second Amendment. It is worth it to give up some human life every year in order to protect the Second Amendment. That is directly out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. That is an idea he supported, and as long as that remains the case, and it's going to remain the case forever now, because he's never going to have a chance to retract it now, I don't think you can really make an argument that this wasn't predictable, that this was not ironic. I mean, it's, you know, it's legitimately something people should be. Um, I think they should kind of like I understand. I'm not going to say they should, but I understand why there is an element of relief to some people's thought pattern when it comes to this shit. Because for some people, they think this means the end of an era. What you guys don't seem to understand, and while I understand your cathartic need to, or I'm sorry, while I understand your very human and psychological need for catharsis in a moment like this is not going to have the intended effect. This is not going to have a chilling effect on the right wing's politics. This is actually going to have the opposite effect. This is going to lead to this. I bet you, how much you want to bet that there literally becomes a new Charlie Kirk before Charlie Kirk is even buried. Just wait. There's some dumbass out there that speaks the dumbass language just perfectly enough that they're going to be able to swing it. Just you watch. Just you watch. They're out there. Somebody will be the new Charlie Kirk before Charlie Kirk is ever fucking buried. Assassinations are not effective political tools. And once again, I say that as an anarcho-syndicalist, bro. I'm willing to say that there's a lot of crazy shit that you might have to do in furtherance of a better world. But you know what has never led to good outcomes for working class people and average people in general? Assassination. It doesn't work. It has the opposite of its intended effect. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by a white supremacist who hoped that the murder would chill, basically, the effect of King's movement. He was also trying to prevent King from pursuing his the next chapter of his advocacy, where King was about to start the Poor People's Campaign, which was socialist in nature. And so he had gone a step too far in the minds of this particular white supremacist, James Earl Ray, I think was his name. And he was killed for that. And you know what effect it had? It had the opposite effect. Instead of chilling Martin Luther King Jr.'s rhetoric, it actually led directly to the passage of the Fair Housing Act not 9 days later. It was fucking like, it was like a week later, maybe a week and a half. This shit has the opposite of its intended effect almost every time. And the quicker people realize that, the quicker they'll stop being morons about their own fucking politics and political ideas. Some would say, well, it is politically effective. If it's getting all this change to happen, I would say it's only politically effective if the only fucking goal in your politics is sow chaos, make shit worse, fuck shit up. But that's not where my politics begin and end, friend. Take a look at my super chat. It's impossible to tell when you were looking at chat in the dark. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I did mean to go back to that. Yeah. The FBI person of interest looks identical to 80% of Utah men. He gone, if that's him. Pre-hitman, pro-hitman, great shot, in and out, crazy in a surveillance state. It is really fucking crazy, but that's what you just said is one of the reasons why we're all so convinced that it was a pro. Because if it's not a pro, then why, like, whence cometh this level of professionalism? Like, how does a motherfucker get this good if they're not pro? Like, just on a pragmatic level, how do you do it? How is that possible? It doesn't seem like it should be to me. You know? It's like if this is just some amateur fuck around kind of shooter, then how have they evaded capture for so fucking long? There's a camera everywhere you look these days. I guarantee you he ran by people's houses who had Ring cameras. Why wasn't he seen? Who the fuck knows? Maybe we'll find out eventually. Somebody said something on Reddit, and normally I would disregard that kind of thing. Just because you read it on Reddit doesn't mean it's accurate, right? But this one gave me pause, and the reason it gave me pause was because somebody said, I forget all the reasons they listed, but they basically went through a suite of like 10 or 12 reasons why, despite the surveillance state, it's entirely possible that somebody could have gotten past that shit and gotten away. And one of the things that they said, ironically enough, is that one of the things they said, interestingly enough, Riley, was that this dude looked so generic, and that if that's all the footage they've got of him so far, they're probably never going to find him. Because that dude looks, they basically said what you said, Riley, that he looks so overwhelmingly average for a Utah that there's like no way. He's going to change out of that outfit, and then he's basically going to be a completely new person. And all that dude would have to do, the dude in those pictures, all he'd have to do would be like shave or not shave, but like add some fake facial hair, grow out some facial hair, get some tats, dress differently. Like the fucking picture is so grainy that there's no real way to know. Like, I don't know. I guess someone who knows him super personally might recognize him, but dude, I would be shocked if this is a person that has a lot of family in their life. I would be shocked if this is a person that's got a lot of loved ones and connections and shit going for him. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. 284 people watching. If you guys hit the like button all at once, we would have 284 likes. But even if half of you guys did it, we would have 143. Or 142, I should say. So fucking hit that like button. It really does help. Double tap your screen or hit the actual like button if that's what you got. Please and thank you. It helps a lot. I'm going to turn on... I'm going to make chat a little bit more readable for myself and my mods. Let me see here. God damn it. Damn it! I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, there we go. Ah, fuck. Trans or not trans, you are despicable. What have I said that's so despicable? What have I said that's so despicable? Thanks for the $2, by the way. My take is basically that Charlie Kirk is not that big a fucking loss, but that this is a really fucking dangerous sign here in America, because this means things are ramping up, y'all. This means political violence is getting more intense. Somebody tried to shoot Trump last year. Now, I know a lot of people on my side of politics are saying that shit was fake. I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I just don't. I just do not. Now, maybe somebody will eventually convince me, but as of right now, with what I've seen, I don't believe that shit was fake. And I think that the only reason that motherfucker shot multiple times is because he didn't make his mark the first time and wanted to was hoping he would get maybe one more shot. But, dude, people keep acting like that, like that, just like, oh, bad shot. It's like, dude, if Trump hadn't moved his fucking head at the exact right moment, that shot would have made its mark, and he would have died. That would have been even more impactful than this was. And this is going to change the face of American politics. This by itself, just on its own, is going to change how people talk to one another, think about one another. It's going to change the way it's going to change the way these big media figures interact with their audiences. You wouldn't be that much of a loss, you a-hole. Dude, Charlie Kirk is a dude who has literally condoned and supported and defended the idea that it would be moral and righteous to stone gay people to death in modern times. Charlie Kirk is not some good guy. He's not some paragon of fucking humanity. And I'm not going to pretend like he was because you have a fetish for him. I'm not going to pretend like he was because you're fucking like ultra desperate to feel sad for a dude you never even knew, probably. Now, if you knew Charlie Kirk in some way, then I apologize. And I'm sorry that you had to witness that and go through that. But understand that the dude that you have that deep, probably parasocial relationship with is a dude who's advocated for the deaths of people like me. And if we wanted to get into his position on trans people in particular, he was an incredibly backwards man when it came to his ideas about gender. And the reason I say all this is to say that, once again, Charlie Kirk is not some giant loss. It's not like we are never going to be the same without him. But he didn't deserve to die like a dog in the street because of what me and him disagree on, or whatever the fuck. Nobody of any political party or affiliation deserves to die like a dog on the street because of what they say, because of what they think, because of who they are, because of what they are. I'm an American. I don't believe in people getting punished for fucking free speech. So I don't, ultimately, the tragedy is not in the loss of Charlie Kirk. I guess it is, but that's not, the loss of him personally as a political figure or whatever, big whoop. The loss of him as a free speaker, the loss of him as someone who was encouraging people to speak, that is kind of a tragedy, y'all. I'm sorry, it just is, to me. I value discussion. It's what I do here. It's what I make. The income I make is predicated upon me having conversations with people that disagree with me. So I can never bring myself to say that I even remotely empathize with the person who did this awful, awful shooting. I bring up my disagreements with Kirk to illustrate how you can be a human about this issue while still recognizing that Charlie Kirk stood for a lot of horrible fucking shit. Gurgle, gurgle, Charlie Kirk's last words. Jesus Christ, Benito. That was dark. That was dark. That was dark. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't hit it already. Every single time you hit that like button, it sends the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people who can engage in the chat. And also, consider sending a super chat if you want to have your question answered or your, comment read. Either way, that is the best way to guarantee that. His actual last words were an idiotic take on gun violence. Yeah, his actual last words, dude, imagine that. I hadn't thought about that yet, Riley, but that, dude, that really is the truth of it. His actual last words were, are we counting gang violence or no gang violence? Somebody asked him a question. They asked, are you aware of the amount of mass shooters we've had over the last 5 years? I think that was the question. And he said, are we counting gang violence or non-gang violence? Which is just to address that talking point, since the discussion got cut short. Even if you count, even if you don't count gang violence, even if you specifically exclude gang violence from the statistics, I don't think that having 20 or 40 mass shooters is much of an improvement over having thousands. Because if you do include gang violence or violence that's related in some way to gang kind of shit, I'm not the most I'm not, I'm not a lawyer or a cop, so I don't exactly know the right verbiage to talk about this shit with, but you get the idea. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. God damn it. I fucking hate it when I get off track like that. Motherfucker is what it is. We don't blame Ford for drunk drivers, so why do you blame guns for murders? Who said I do? I feel like you brought up the guns thing. Have I made... Hey, people in the chat, have I made any... Like, have I literally talked about gun control one time? Have I even brought that up? You guys can tell me if I have. I don't remember. When? Quote me. You got 2 no's so far. No, but you're leftist, so you have to believe that, right? Well, that's what Fox News would tell you. I don't know why you'd believe them, but that's what Fox News would tell you. No, I belong to a clade of leftists who believe that guns are actually a pretty integral right to a free and open society. Now, most leftists also believe in responsibility with guns, and those of us who believe in the power of legislation often believe that it is something that should be legislated on some level, but the things I would call for are not what your average run-of-the-mill Hillary Clinton liberal talks about when they're calling for gun control. I think when it comes to who can and can't get a weapon, just basic, like just full stop, I think that we pretty much have a pretty good system for doing that. Most people who use guns in some shitty way either steal them, get them from someone who stole them, or just borrow it, basically, because they are in theory authorized to use it and then they know where it is. And people aren't secure or responsible with their firearms in high enough numbers to make this a rarity. And so guns just disappear from people's houses all the time. I guarantee you, people that have like hundreds and hundreds of guns, how often you want to bet one of them loses a gun and they just don't even notice for years? They just don't notice for like a couple of years. They don't, think about it for a while and then they think, man, I really want to shoot that old AR. I'm going to go grab that thing. And they grab it and they're like, oh shit, it's not here anymore. They go to grab it anyway and it's not there. Then they realize it's fucking gone. That has to be 1 million people. There has to be 1 million people in America right now with that story. Because there's too many fucking gun deaths for it to be operating any other way. People get their guns stolen from them because they're stupid about how they store them, and that is a primary fucking way. Guns being illicitly borrowed and outright stolen is a primary and fundamental way that big violent gun events, whether it's mass shootings or gangland violence or whatever it is, that is a primary way that guns are funneled to all of those causes. So if you get people to be responsible about the way they store their guns, if you start teaching kids from a very young age how to handle a gun, why they should be responsible with a gun, the ethics of, the ethics of using weapons, basically, the ethics of combat, maybe even, the ethics of self-defense. Yeah, I think if you, changed the way America transacts with our fucking gun culture, I think you could get ahead of the problem way faster than you could by implementing some kind of magazine restriction or some kind of type ban. It's like, for example, you can't have a tank anywhere in the United States, or not anywhere in the United States, but you can't have a tank in most of the United States without having some kind of destructive weapons permit or something like that. Or you just have to literally make the gun inoperable by taking out the breech block and giving it to the sheriff or something like that, or filling the barrel with concrete, which is the most common option. Why? Has there ever actually been a tank used domestically by an American citizen against somebody else? The closest we could get is the fucking killdozer. And all the bans on tank ownership in the world didn't prevent the killdozer from being built. And there isn't a fucking thing that's changed about American society that would prevent a killdozer from being built today, other than the increased price of a bulldozer. So the idea, in my mind, that we need type bans just seems like, I don't know, a way to avoid the problem. Like, we don't actually have to address the way our country is just super flippant with guns. We don't have to address the fact that we're all paranoid pieces of shit. We don't have to address all this crippling poverty that's driving people to commit these kinds of crimes if we just ban the right types of guns. We'll just keep everybody from having scary-looking assault rifles, and that'll make the problem better. That'll make it all go away. We don't even have to address the poverty. It's ridiculous. You want to improve gun violence in America? Teach people how and why they should be responsible with guns, and fix the fucking poverty that causes people to engage in violent criminal activity in the first place. You realize most people that are robbing fucking convenience stores or carjacking people, shit like that, aren't doing it for the fun of it, right? Like, they might have started to derive some kind of strange joy and fun from it, but that's like a coping mechanism for what they ultimately know is an inherently dangerous activity. Gotta do some fire trolling again. Ow. Shit. So many roots. 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 Okay, put some more wood on here. I think that was a pretty dry piece, so we'll put that on there. At this point, if it takes off, it takes off. Oh, Benito. Nito Benito. It is genuinely strange that this fire seems like almost like stubbornly refusing to light. Like it has like a moral problem with lighting. starting to go a little bit now, I guess. You may not agree with all of his views, but his willingness to let anyone stand up to the mic shows he values open dialogue. Yeah, no, I recognize that 100% because that's basically what I do up here. I mean, literally, these streams are all about me finding people that disagree with me and having them have long conversations with me here in the chat, you know? And that's the whole premise of this. The whole premise of this is we talk about whatever's in the news, we talk about whatever's going on, and people of all walks of life come through and add their perspective, and it's fun, and it's chill. Yeah. Oh boy. I wonder if there's a content warning on this stream right now. If what happened to Kirk happened to a different activist, he'd call it the price we pay for freedom. I mean, that's a point that I brought up myself, Riley. You know, I don't support this in any way. I don't think it was right because I don't think assassination is like an effective political tactic. I think it often has the opposite of its intended effect, and I don't support it for all of those reasons. But if you're just looking at the shit he said, just the shit he said himself, he kinda, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say he kind of like wrote his own justifications or whatever, but that's kind of what he did. He was talking about how we have to accept a certain number of gun deaths every year, no matter what, because that's just the price you pay to live in a free society where you're allowed to have guns. That was literally his rhetoric on the issue. And when you think about a dude that's got rhetoric like that, it's kind of hard to feel completely, I don't know how to put it. It's not that I don't feel bad about his death, because I feel bad about anybody getting killed like that, especially, like I said, him being like a free speaker, kind of free speech absolutist kind of guy. I don't think he really genuinely meant that, but at least when it came to his events, you know, he let anybody fucking come up to the mic and ask at least one question, you know? And I value that kind of thing. So there is a sadness in it, but there's also an irony in it. And I think it's an irony that is best discussed and not ignored. The irony being that, like Riley said, if this had happened to Greta Thunberg, this would be somewhere in America, this would be the price we have to pay for freedom. If that lady in the train who got stabbed by that dude, if she'd been shot, it would have been the price we have to pay for freedom. Anybody else dies, Charlie Kirk's fucking line of rhetoric on it would have been the exact same thing, which would have been to trivialize their death as merely the necessary, unfortunate, but necessary outcome of this wonderful system we have where you're allowed to be free and have your guns and your rights and all that. You're allowed to have cars. Everyone knows people use them for harm. Do we blame those victims for some crazy person driving into a crowd? What? Huh? Dude, you realize that when it comes to cars, you actually have to prove that you're competent with a car before you're able to fucking drive one legally? You realize, like, what are you, a sob-sit? If you're a sob-sit, don't even talk to me, because you don't even believe in the Constitution. That's illegal, remember? If you're not a sob-sit, though, let's talk. And if you're not a sob-sit, then you should recognize, okay, that cars are something you have to fucking prove yourself before you're allowed to drive legally. That's the whole premise behind a driver's license. Proof that you're legally allowed to drive. And if you're going to sit here and say that guns are comparable to cars, then I'm going to have to point out that with guns, there exists no such qualification process. Not in today's America. In my America, there would. You see, if I got to write the rules, there would. And just like driver's ed, it'd be in fucking school. I would have kids learning how to safely identify and let an adult know about an unsecured gun. And then as they get older, I would teach them more about the history and everything like that. But functionally, a lot of what they're learning is to respect them as tools that are important to our culture and things that are incredibly dangerous that you have to be responsible with and ethical with. And on top of that, you need to fix the poverty that causes people to reject whatever good education they've had up to that point and pick up a gun in anger against another human being. Because it is poverty that causes that, my friends. It is not some just vicious, inhuman desire in some people to do harm. That's not what it comes from, bro. It comes from fucking poverty. When people go against the way that all of society says we're supposed to be, the only thing that can make you do that is a hungry belly or your child's hungry belly. Pretty fucking simple shit. You know, I'm not black, but there's a class element to this line from the very beginning of Changes by Tupac. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being poor and even worse than black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. That line pretty much explains what, like, the relationship between poverty and crime in America. What do you think, fuckers are just running around looking for purses to snatch for fun? No. You think motherfuckers are risking life, limb, and a giant fucking prison sentence for fun? To rob up a fucking convenience store? No. They're doing it because they're fucking hungry. Or their kids are hungry. And they're probably hungry because they live in a fucking food desert in a place that nobody wants to hire anybody. In a place where the generational poverty is so extreme and so ingrained that so many of these bad habits have been introduced from way back. A lot of people end up fucking their lives up before they even really get to start their lives. Jeopardizes their chances even further. A lot of people just end up getting fucking stuck in it. Because basically, if you're born in a place like that, where that kind of thing is commonplace, you have a choice. You can either just stay inside constantly and kind of like exist online, or have like kind of like a half double life where you've kind of got like a ghostly presence out on the streets, but you're like, you kind of have to remain uninvolved and lay super low, or you have to be involved, you know? That sort of thing, it just builds on itself and builds on itself and builds on itself. Whole social structure is completely corrupted by the fact that there's so fucking few jobs left in a neighborhood anymore, or left accessible to a neighborhood anymore. And even if there are jobs somewhere, maybe an hour from them, it's not like there's fucking adequate public transit to get them from there to the other place. So they gotta have a car. But how the fuck do you get a car if you don't have a job? You're starting to see the fucking vice some people are held in? Are you comparing shooting a political assassination to robbing someone and claiming they have the same motive? No. What? No. I was talking to somebody in the chat about gun control, and I was making the point that, like, when it comes to gun violence in America, I mean, like, most of it comes down to that shit. Most of it. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to an assassination like this, bro, that's a different thing. Now, I do think that assassinations would probably be less common in a utopian America that I got to write some of the rules in, where I could literally make sure that people are getting taught ethics lessons and marksmanship lessons and all this shit. Do I think that they would be less common? 100%. But I think that as long as we allow our political situation, our political minds, basically, I don't know how you want to put it, but as long as we allow our discourse, basically, to be so corrupted and toxic and made that way by the constant influence of, I mean, it's just so many things. Like, we really don't need to get into all of it, but the point is, shit has gotten to a boiling point. Political violence is on the rise. There were like 2 Democratic lawmakers that got bombs sent to there was a Democratic lawmaker and her husband, I think, that got assassinated last year. And a governor, I think, maybe. There were several other attempts on major political figures. Shit is getting out of hand. The rhetoric is getting out of hand. I think the rhetoric's been out of hand for a while, if I'm being completely fucking honest with you guys. That's why I go about things the way I do. I make fun back, but I never get into the kind of dehumanization shit. I almost never get into the kind of dehumanization shit you'll see some people get into whenever they engage a person on the right. Read the chat. I disagreed and have been called stupid and all kinds of stuff. Nobody cares to see the other side. I don't think I've called you stupid. Maybe I did. But, I mean, you probably said something dumb. I'm sorry. If I did, it was probably because you said something dumb. And it's fine. I say fucking dumb shit all the time. People call me stupid for it. Hell, some of the people who have wrenches have probably called me, well, okay. I'll put it this way. There's a member, and he's in the chat right now. I can see him from all the way back over here. I can't read his chat from all the way over here, but I can see his profile picture and the length of his name, and that it's green. One time, it wasn't even like he called me an idiot, but it was like the way he quoted me was just, I must have laughed for 20 minutes because the implication was like, it honestly read like some of the Drunken Peasants chats from back in the day when they'd be covering the manatee. So I felt like I had like a keynism happen IRL, and it was a touching moment for me, So there's nothing wrong with being a moron sometimes, all right? Sometimes that's just how it has to be. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. That's just the way it is. Alright. That's what Charlie Kirk's point is that removing guns won't eliminate a tragedy. It just leaves law-abiding people defenseless. The bigger question is how to balance preventing crime while protecting citizens. Well, that's why my solution is fucking, I think, such a prescient one, right? Because my solution doesn't involve taking any of your guns. My fucking solution actually involves removing some of the restrictions on type, caliber, magazine capacity, things like that. My solution is all about teaching people responsibility and enforcing responsibility on a certain level. Enforcing responsibility. So if a gun gets recovered that the police know was used in a crime, and they are able to trace it back to its original owner, and that paper trail leads them back to somebody who left their fucking safe completely unsecured or something like that, dude, that person should probably fucking face repercussions for that. I'm sorry. It is not that fucking difficult to secure a firearm. And I don't think it's too much to ask people to respect people's right to not get shot up, you know? En masse in crime, no matter what fucking circumstance it's happening over or happening under. I think people have a right to fucking life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Chief among them, life. And just like I'm supportive of our idea that we implemented here in the United States and that's, you know, done all around the world, of driver's licenses. You have to prove yourself before you're legally allowed to operate a motor vehicle in this country. And even after proving yourself, you have to maintain that proof, basically. You have to maintain that constantly. Every, you know, like for some states it's way long, but for a lot of states it's like every 4 to 6 years you have to go in and get recertified, basically. You don't have to redo the driving test, but sometimes you have to do like some signs and some basic traffic safety questions and things like that, just to make sure that you're still okay to do that. And we're okay with that when it comes to cars. Everybody but soft sits is okay with that. If we weren't hearing you out, Jamie, don't you think you would have been banned or timed out by now? Here we are all interacting with you in chat. The world is welcome here. Yeah, the world is 100% welcome here. Amen. People should be held accountable for their actions. The Second Amendment is right, but you're 100% correct. Learn to be responsible. Yeah, exactly. Life, liberty, and property. Yeah, you're not wrong there. It is technically life, liberty, and property. But property can be widely defined, friend. Widely defined. Driver licenses are different because the roads are owned by the state. You don't need a license to drive on private land. I don't think that makes a difference. You don't need a fucking flashlight to go night fishing, but it sure does help now, doesn't it? Shit. I'm sorry, man. I don't find your argument particularly compelling. God, dude, I fucking roleplay like an average, regular, everyday Midwestern kind of, maybe West Coasty kind of, like average American, right? And then every so often, I have a moment like that where I'm just stoned enough and I'm just loosey goosey enough where I'm just like, I fucking say the most hick shit that you've heard all day. I love that. Rhino, who are you malding against? I am fucking anti-Israel, friend. I am fucking anti-occupier, anti-Zionist. I'm pro-Jewish people broadly. Strongly against the anti-Semitism. You know, like, but the Jewish people are not the state of Israel. The state of Israel is a fucking nightmare factory that makes starving children for a living. Phoebe, does that mean you were gonna switch out your vape for meth? Wait, what? What did I say that made you think that, friend? Man, you almost know some fat meth heads. That's all I gotta say. Does this really look like the body of a tweaker to you? Now I'm just thinking about, like, all the people in chat with the fat meth heads in town. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Okay, alrighty. Fat meth head sounds like the online persona of a wall cow. Yeah. Yeah. I've known enough meth heads that if I wanted to do that as a character, I totally could. I totally could. The other thing I've got going for me is that I'm able to talk really fast, like especially if I'm like not like trying to say like anything particularly like super important, because like at that point, like a lot of what you're just doing is like looking for filler words, you know, like you're trying to find like what to say, and as long as you've got like a relatively fast thinking brain, you can kind of like mimic the fucking like super quick like fast way that like some meth heads will talk. Like they they just like sometimes they really fucking just oh man, they get to talking super fucking fast, and like if you can kind of like emulate that, you know, like you can do like really good meth head impressions, you know. Normally the way I augment that in stream is when I do the call for likes. If you're enjoying this live stream, make sure you hit that like button. Every single time you hit that like button, there's a chance to send the stream out to even more people. The more people you send the stream out to, the better your viewing experience, because the more people will be engaging with the chat. So please hit that like button. It really does help the channel. That's how I normally use it. But it could totally be done to do a fat meth head character. Dude, who wants to know? I've got your fucking solution. There's a war on in the Middle East. Billions of people down on their knees, 'cause they're begging and pleading for mercy. Seems like Israel just can't seem to make peace. Trying to find what key I should sing it in. So we tore down and scrapped Cheyenne, built a town called New Jerusalem, and they don't need no M1 tanks, 'cause the U.S. military's got them safe. There's no Hamas, no atom bombs, just the smell of pie and soccer moms. You can say it was wrong, but we stay knowing that all the Jews are happy roaming in what used to be Wyoming. We move them to Wyoming. All right? Okay, and I'm not even saying all of them. I'm saying we leave like a token population of Jews in Israel, in Israel-Palestine combined territory, whatever the fuck. Okay? We have a token amount. We'll give the rest of them New Israel, aka Wyoming. We'll call the folks that we leave in Israel the Home Guard, you know? We'll make them feel special. Honestly, not bad. I'm a Jewish nationalist, not a Zionist. I would prefer coastal territory, though. Well, I'm sorry, but you can't have it. I thought about it for a second. I was like, is there a coastline of America that I'm willing to give up? You know what? Actually, there is. But you don't want this coastline, bro. Trust me. Take Wyoming. It's better. You're better off. Because the only coastline that I think we would be able to negotiate you guys to be, like, for you guys to have is going to be the Gulf Coast. And if you know anything about the Gulf Coast of the United States, dude, that is some of the most disgusting fucking shitwater beaches that you can go to. Pascagoula Beach looks like a fucking mud pie. At least it did when I was there. I don't know, maybe it runs clear sometimes, but dude, when I went, It was around like the middle of July, I think, like 2019. No, 2018. Yeah, 2018. Around middle of July, 2018, and it was fucking, yeah, God, dude, muddy. Like I don't know how else to put it. My girlfriend at the time got stung by a jellyfish because you literally just can't see shit out there, and the fucking seafloor just goes on forever. The angle is not very pronounced. I just didn't like it, dude. But you go fucking like an hour and a half to the fucking east, and you get to Pensacola Beach, and it's completely different. It's almost like a Pacific beach. But Pensacola ain't gonna give up all its fucking tourism money to New Israel, so good luck on that one. And I ain't fucking gonna sanction you guys fucking conquering some other fucking country. Because that's just a repeat of the problem, but this time with South Americans or some shit. You know? Fuck that. At least with the Palestinians, it's a long established conflict, you know? Like, at least there's history, if nothing else. You guys go off and start feuding with fucking Uruguay, and I might have to fucking, I don't know, write an angrily worded letter. Take southeastern Massachusetts below Plymouth. Dude, you're gonna take all the fucking Jews and put them in, you're gonna take like the entirety of the Jewish people and stuff them into, don't you think that area of Mass has enough Jewish people already? Like, don't you think like surely they would start to get sick of each other, right? Like, the whole fucking premise of America is supposed to be that we're all fucking different mixes of all kinds of weirdo shit, right? We don't really do that whole, like, this is Chinatown thing anymore. I don't think. Do we? Are there still, like, Jewish neighborhoods? I don't know. Maybe. There probably are. I'm probably being really insensitive right now. All the mass Jews are in Needham. That's not true at all, dude. That is not true at all. My road dog was from fucking Western Mass, from Berkshire County, and they were Jewish through their dad. And that was fucking as Western Mass as you get. Massholes don't deserve Berkshire County, by the way. I'm just gonna put it that, like, I'm just gonna fucking throw it out there. None of you guys appreciate it correctly. None of you guys. Like, I feel like people from Western Mass do, but the rest of you motherfucking massholes don't even seem to get it. See above comments, bitch. Oh, in Western Mass in the Metro West. Okay, yeah, never mind. Never mind. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. I'm just a moron. I didn't associate that town name with Western Mass immediately, so I just made assumptions. like a dipshit. Ah, shit. That's cool. Dude, one of the cool things about living out in the country, or going out to the country, either way, one of the really cool things to me about it is getting to see all the weird ways in which weather moves. We think of weather, or at least a lot of people that I've talked to, have given me the impression that the average person seems to look at weather as a thing that's like unpredictable and kind of just shows up out of nowhere and comes and goes. But, you know, if you know what to look for and you're willing to stand and look for long enough, you can literally watch weather happen. I do it every night when I'm sitting out here streaming. I'll watch like the cloud cover change over the course of the couple of hours that I stream. Like just now, when I started, it had literally just got done dripping a few drips when I started. Probably part of the reason why the fire's kind of been stubborn tonight. But um, I watched that storm slowly kind of intensify a little bit and then move and then keep moving. And so far, I've watched it move probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's moved 20 miles. But I can still see the lightning because it's still, yeah. Yeah, you can see it. It's kind of intense over that way. But you can see, like you guys can't, but I can see the moon really clearly. And I can't see any stars, but there could still be low-lying cloud cover that I'm not seeing. Or it just could be that the moon is really powerful. Could be a lot of things. That part's kind of hard to tell without a clear view of the moon. Nobody knows the motive yet. It's all speculation. Yeah, it is all speculation. I mean, there's this kind of factoid basically going around right now that there were messages scrawled on the casings for the rounds. The one fired round and the two unfired that were found in the rifle. And apparently they were trans related and anti-fascist related. But that is, if you look into it, it's unconfirmed. They don't know for sure, but that is what it is. It could be that further research and forensic analysis will reveal that it's some kind of other thing. Because, like, people that aren't into this shit, people that aren't, like, terminally online as fuck, usually are thrown off by kind of like the weird cryptic symbols that different communities use online. And a symbol used by anti-trans people can easily be mistaken for a symbol that is pro-trans, and a symbol that is pro-trans can easily be associated mistakenly with people that are anti-trans. So there's a lot of factors going into this. It's something we're going to have to wait and see, you know. Gotta find more shit that'll burn easy. I can add a bunch of shit to the fire real quick. Ow. I didn't hear the train coming, but it is. What's stranger is Israel copying every move out of the Austrian planters. Oh shit, yeah. I mean, good point. The only thing they ain't doing yet is fucking gas chambers. I feel like you live directly on the train tracks. Not far from it. Not far from it. I genuinely do live right next to them. Like, as close as you can be without being... Like, without sharing a property line with the railroad. We would share a property line with the railroad if it weren't for an easement that separates us from them, basically. So, yeah. Right up close. Right up close. And it's funny, because the house that's there now is actually farther away from the tracks than the house that originally was here. Israel isn't constructing camps or forcing people into ghettos. They are fighting a war the traditional way. That's not true. Bombing civilian areas nonstop to break morale since everyone is homeless. Dude, just because it's been done in other wars doesn't mean it's fucking a righteous thing to do, dude. There's a reason why the carpet bombing of Dresden is still referenced as a war crime that the Americans kind of got away with because they were the quote-unquote good guys in World War II. And we were. And fucking Germany was doing fucked up shit. But I gotta tell you, Hamas is not doing anything on the level of what Nazi Germany was doing. They don't deserve the fucking bombing of Dresden, alright? Hamas could be easily dealt with by a dedicated ground force. They just don't want to fight that way. They want to terrorize people. Either their military is too stupid and weak to be able to fight a fucking hand-to-hand ground war where they're disarming the population, basically, and ensuring that there's no fucking people able to engage in that kind of activity, you know? Or they want to terrorize these people. Which one is it? Either way doesn't look particularly good for Israel. The Allies did plenty of bombings during World War II. That's just how a total war works, though. This is not... Oh my god, dude. Once again, just because it's happened in a bunch of other wars doesn't mean it's okay in this conflict, and it doesn't mean it was okay in those conflicts either. You realize I condemn the Allies going about World War II the way we did, too? I don't think that, oh my god, bro. People are retarded these days. I don't mean that 100% seriously. I get frustrated in conversations like this because it's like, I feel like one of us is kind of subtly pro-war. I'm of the opinion that war is like an option of last resort. If you're gonna be warring with people, I think you need like a Nazi Germany level threat. And short of that, diplomacy, diplomacy, diplomacy. You seem to be under the fucking position that like, oh, well, war is just kind of like a justified thing. It just happens sometimes, you know? Like, you seem so blasé about it. And I don't get that. It rubs me so hard the wrong way. They don't want to risk IDF soldiers. Most of them are drafted anyways. We didn't care about that in World War II. They don't care about the fact that they don't care about the fact that the people who are in Hamas and these other organizations are often joining them under duress. So why should we care about that for them? Like why are they being given a pass? Why do you value Israeli lives more than Palestinian lives? Thank you, Frey, for the $5. I appreciate it. As always, you are so fucking kind. But yeah, since you brought it up, why do you fucking value Israeli lives more than Palestinian lives? Because that's the only way I can puzzle out what you just said to me. What you just said implies that so clearly that I cannot help but ask you that question. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Hot take, war bad, and I don't support murder. I know, that's crazy. I know. Dude, post, I feel like, dude, yeah. I feel like we're going crazy. Frey, I don't know if you're still in here. You might have just been passing through for a second, because you are known to do that, but I want to give you my commentary on the fight that happened earlier. I don't want to sound like a fence sitter, but I kind of feel like I understand where Paul was coming from, but I kind of still feel like I'm kind of on your side after having listened to the whole thing. Because ultimately, what you're coming up against is the fucking corporatization of art. The corporatization of presentation as an art medium. There is no reason you shouldn't have been allowed to show that painting on stream. It is so innocuous compared to the video itself, which was presumably on YouTube a number of times before it got deleted, probably. There's probably blurred footage of it up on YouTube. But the painting, I think Paul's right to worry about it possibly, you know, like just in this climate, because you guys have been getting so many more viewers and everything. Like, I would be worried about showing something like that, you know? I've been, like, careful about choosing my words the right way and presenting my takes the right way, because I don't want some motherfucker to hear me talking some untoward way and get a hair up their ass to fucking find me and hunt me down as revenge for this shit, you know? So I get that angle of it, but my instinct when it comes to that is, like, resistance, right? Resistance is the fucking path through that. It's not like I feel like acquiescing to it is just kind of like seeding the idea that the guilt by association is true, that our speech really should be curtailed because of the events that transpired. And I feel like right now is probably a pretty important time to try and protect that shit, considering the rhetoric that's coming out of so much of the right. I think you should make a fucking video on your channel about it, personally. But, you know. What you do is up to you. But I think that painting deserves to be seen by more eyes. And I think that you could go into way greater detail than you did with even your, which was admittedly already detailed, artistic statement of intent. I think you could expand that into an entire video if you so chose. Of course, I think after listening to that fight too, though, I think a big part of Paul's problem was really just the shit you said about the meetup, which I thought Now, I'm not saying you have autism, Frey. I don't know if you're still listening, but if they are, I don't know if you have autism. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm not fucking qualified to do that. But it struck me as something I might say, not thinking about it at all. Because I was laughing about it until Paul started talking on ideology about how it actually made him feel and the panic attack he was kind of going through. I don't think he was like I, I don't know. I don't remember how exactly he put it, but when he explained that, I was like, "Ah, man, now I kind of feel like a dickhead." But to me, I kind of took it the way you presented it and like the way you defended it in the interim. I kind of took it that way in the moment. But I have to admit, part of the reason I took it that way is because I've become so fucking, and I don't think I'm the only person who has. You probably have as well. Are you as numb as I am to random acts of violence in America and the idea of them? Are you as like nonplussed by them as I am? Because like I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but I feel like random acts of violence have become incredibly common. Political violence is becoming way more common, and it's also become really unpredictable. Those two Democratic lawmakers, or I'm sorry, that Democratic lawmaker and her husband that got killed, who the fuck were they? They were just random fucking people. They weren't in the national spotlight. They weren't like an AOC or anything like that. They're just some random, like, Minnesota lawmaker and her husband. And yeah, Charlie, like, honestly, Charlie Kirk is the probably most prominent target of political violence that has ever happened in my life personally. But ultimately, it still kind of just represents the same trend towards greater and greater political violence, greater and greater random acts of violence. And it's not like you're actually going to predict that shit. It's called compassion fatigue. I'll have to remember that and I'll have to look it up. That is something I should probably look up because I think that I'm probably not the only person going through it. If so, I don't. I should DM Frey honestly because I need to get back to them about those tarot readings. Number one, but I also need to. Um, I don't need to, but I kind of want to probe their brain a little more. You know, about this discourse. But maybe I should save it for the next few streams. Who knows? Maybe I could turn it into content, or help them turn it into content, I should say. The beginning of the end. That's right, it starts with an earthquake, hurricanes and aeroplanes. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I am the hurricane. Listen to yourself spin. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. I hate when people say Austrian painter. Just say Hitler. Self-censorship is terrible. I mean, to some degree, you kind of have to at certain times. Like if you're sending a super chat, there are certain words that you just can't say in super chats for whatever reason. No idea what that's about, but yeah, certain words you can't say in super chats and shit like that. So I understand it to some degree, but I do think that like otherwise, I think it should kind of be used for comedic effect, maybe, which I think might have been what Winston was intending. Because I read it not as self-censorship, but as comedic intent, like the Austrian painter, Like, it feels kind of untoward to make a direct comparison to Jewish people and Hitler. That feels pretty fucked up. And so, saying the Austrian painter kind of softens it a little. At least in my mind. Algo speaks so YT doesn't automod it. Yeah, exactly. Also, we all censor ourselves at times, and we do it with the best of intentions. It's really okay. It's okay to be sensitive, probably. Whoa, is it? I think it is. Honestly, like, here's the thing. If the world were a more sensitive place, Charlie Kirk wouldn't have got killed, for one thing. But nobody would have tried to kill Trump either, which probably means he would have lost the election. But maybe if the world was a more sensitive place, we wouldn't have gotten Trump at all. The fact of it is, America's been losing its sensitivity to a lot of shit for a long time. Gun violence is just one front of it. That's just one front of it, bro. Gun violence is just one front. We have become numb to the idea of healthcare being good or being improved upon. We've just given that up as a notion. Healthcare is just gonna suck in America. We've just accepted that, basically, as a premise. We've become numb to the idea of meaningfully improving workers' rights in this country. Most people aren't fighting against right-to-work laws anymore. Most people don't even remember what they lost with right-to-work laws. Most people aren't represented by a union anymore, and a lot of people don't even know how to try and pursue unionization. We've become so fucking numb. I do think it is funny. Algo speak is ridiculous, but it does make me laugh for certain things. Yeah, me too. Shit, I'm sorry, y'all. Every time I try to read the chat, the fucking smoke goes in my eyes. We just had a brief period where some comedians got canceled despite selling out venues in big cities. True. Although I really don't think canceling means anything anymore. I don't think canceling ever meant anything, to be completely honest with you. I think that maybe there were a few people who got canceled, quote unquote, for a while. But you have, in my opinion, you either have to have actually done some fucked up shit and get prosecuted for it, or you have to let yourself get canceled. An example, I'll give you two different examples. Here's a person who got legally canceled. What's his fucking name? There's this dude that got, basically, he was going to be arrested for being a pedophile, and so he fled to France, some film director. I forget his name, but that's a dude that got canceled, basically, and, it ended up having legal repercussions. Or R. Kelly. His cancellation was tied to a criminal case, and, it did not come out in his favor. At least I don't think so. So you take a look at these folks, and you get an example of people who their cancellation meant something because it was tied to actual criminal charges. Now you look at somebody who got canceled and allowed themselves to be canceled. Demon Mama. Demon Mama could have resurrected from that shit. She would have had to make some stellar arguments, or just had to accept the L, and she would have had to definitely kind of go into a fortress arc. But dude, you're telling me that her entire career as a YouTuber was destroyed over, I gotta be honest with you, what seemed like pretty innocuous allegations? From what I fucking heard, there was no sexual shit alleged or anything like that. It was just she had an underage editor or whatever. So it was almost like a workers' rights kind of thing, but like it's fucking like, I don't know. I didn't consider it cancel worthy from what I remember about the situation. But um uh but she basically allowed herself to be canceled. I think she did a couple of more streams after the big fucking thing, and then gone. Gorn. No more DM streams. She allowed herself to be canceled, in my opinion. I think that there are ways she could have handled that to where, yeah, maybe she would be in a different category of YouTuber now. Maybe people would take her way less seriously. She might have a harder time networking. Who knows? But I bet you she'd still be making money on it. I bet you she'd still have people listening. Charlie Kirk got canceled pretty swiftly. True. Mama's big controversy was a nothing burger. She could come back. Oh, yeah. No, I 100% agree. Yeah. Demon Mama's big controversy was a fucking nothing burger from what I remember about it. And she could 100% come back. Would she have to deal with some shit? Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, you kind of, yeah. At some point, I'm probably going to have to deal with some shit, you know? Especially my controversial ass, you know? I literally court the exact kind of people who might do that kind of shit. Because, you know, like, I don't know. I guess I've got a death wish or something. No, that's not the truth. That's a joke, YouTube. That's a complete joke, okay? I'm just kidding. That's a joke. And it's not right. I shouldn't have said it. But my point is, right? Crazy people abound. And you can't account for every crazy motherfucker out there. And I think I had more of a point to it than that, but I don't remember what it was now. I will be honest with you guys, though. I'm kind of waiting to see before I do. But if it comes out that this was like an if it comes out that this was like an actual Antifa pro-trans person that did this, like some kind of lefty. Cat's fucking. Winston tossing shade, bro. It's easy to come back from 13 viewers, yeah. I mean, like, we're at the portion of the stream where I've just kind of, like, gotten mellowed out and I'm tired. You know, the night's winding down. The chat's winded down. Everything's wound down. This is one of the reasons why I'm kind of excited for when me and Glitch Dash make our way up to the meetup, is because I know we plan on doing some streams from inside the car, probably while he's dashing, just while we're driving and shit. And that's going to be super fucking fun. Because I'm able to keep myself entertaining way longer if I've got somebody to bounce off of, you know? I believe aliens are passing by Earth to do a check-in. Do you? I wonder sometimes, but I I will admit that the only reason I really wonder that is because sci-fi has told me that that's a possibility. Would I actually think that on my own? I don't really think so. Because what would be the point? What exactly are they waiting for? If they want our resources, well, we are steadily depleting this planet of useful resources and turning it in to other compounds, right? That's how, like, an alien civilization that had no interest in our ecology or our continuation as a species or in the continuation of any species on this planet would see it as a chemical reaction. But they would basically see what we've been engaging in for the last 250 years as waste. If it was an alien civilization that was looking to take over our planet or to subjugate it for its resources or something like that, because we've basically been uselessly and futilely reducing these complex hydrocarbons into CO2 and a bunch of other compounds just to fuel our little putt-putt cars and shit. And I think an alien species looking to use this planet for its resources would probably see that as pretty wasteful. And I think they would have stepped in by now if they were keeping watch. A benevolent species might be coming by and checking in, but what makes you think that an alien species that's advanced enough to get up close, like, so we know there's no other kind of alien life anywhere in our galaxy, or not our galaxy, but in our solar system, I should say. In our galaxy, now that's a different story, but in our solar system, there's no other candidates, no other good candidates for life. Earth is where it happens. It might have happened on Mars at some point. We don't know. But Earth is where it happens now. Earth is where it happens now. And what makes you think that an alien that is capable of traveling across the galaxy from their solar system into our solar system and observing us by sending some kind of ship near to our planet, what makes you think that they would have to do that to get effective surveillance on us? Like, for all we know, they could have some kind of super fucking advanced telescope that they've got that is undetectable by any of our photographic material because of the way it's designed, and it just sits out there in the blackness of space somewhere out by Pluto or something and just watches our planet from way the fuck far away. I don't know. I guess I think it's possible, but my big problem with it is like, if that's what's happening, then why? I don't know. I don't remember what I was going to say. Well, it takes 200,000 years to travel across the galaxy at the speed of light, so Earth would have to be a stopping point. There can't be many. Yeah, there can't be many. The thing about the alien conversation, though, y'all, to be honest with you guys, is it's one of those conversations that I think is built for folks to come up with crazy fucking theories about it. Like crazy crackpot theories. Because nobody fucking knows. Motherfuckers be pretending when they say they know. Nobody knows that there are aliens. Nobody knows that there aren't. We've all just got our crazy theories, you know. Some of them more plausible than others. But I like to think about them. I'm okay with thinking about them. When you live in a place where life is abundant, you lose sight that it's actually so very rare. You mean like because I live out in the country? Because if you're saying that's like an observation of humanity in general, I would argue that, like, I mean, do we know that? Maybe that's just something a lot of different organisms assume about their surroundings. No, on Earth, the only place we know life exists. Well, yeah, but if you're one of us crazy folks that just like to think about there being life on other planets, maybe life in other galaxies or whatever the fuck, then it's just as easy to say, well, that's probably just something that a lot of advanced species wonder about other species. Like, I don't know. I don't agree that it comes from the same place. But maybe you're not saying it comes from that place. But my thing is that yes, life is super abundant on the planet Earth, but I don't think that's why a lot of people believe in aliens, or at least like to believe in aliens. Like, the reason I like to believe in aliens personally is because I like to think about there being other advanced civilizations out there besides just humanity. I just can't help but wonder, because I know the universe is so vast, right? And I know that the conditions that exist on Earth are just so. They're pretty perfect. But the idea that that can't have happened twice seems pretty silly to me. And there are reasons to believe that life could possibly get distributed from a planet like Earth to other places through the action of comets, interactions with which used to be more common, right? So, say some kind of comet hits our planet, loses some of its mass coming through our atmosphere, but picks up some fucking life on its way, bounces off, re-enters the atmosphere, flies back out into its original core fucking orbit, and then it smashes into another planet and seeds life there. No, I don't know. That's a pretty far-fetched theory, but I don't think it's completely out of touch or insane to suggest that there might be other advanced forms of life out there, or at least there might be other planets where life is supported. Advanced, maybe not. I mean, right now, I would argue that we don't have a whole lot of like directly compelling evidence for it, but who knows? Maybe we will in the future. There's totally more life originating and thriving in our own solar system. We find life in the most extreme conditions on Earth. Saturn's moons, Europa has a warm ocean under ice. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, so who knows? We could eventually find life in one of those places. Honestly, if we do find some kind of organic life out in the solar system somewhere, in our particular solar system, that'll be a huge fucking indicator of there possibly being advanced life somewhere out there in the universe. Probably not far from our galaxy. Maybe within our galaxy. Who knows? As far as we know, life only exists on Earth. In thousands of years, no definite proof of life anywhere else has ever been verified, at least in our galaxy. It is seemingly nowhere else. Not even the probability or the capability of sustaining life is common to find. Apparently, more evidence of microorganisms has been found on Mars. I don't think it's definitively proven yet. Yeah, it's not definitively proven yet, but there has been limited evidence of microorganisms and things like that on Mars. But yeah, I'm not saying that their conditions are common, but our galaxy is pretty big, and our nebula is even bigger. And then you think about the fact that there are innumerable nebulae out there, and each one of them have a bunch of galaxies. In a million years, when some distant civilization receives our radio signals, when we have been long extinct, maybe we will discover aliens. Oh, Post, you're such a pessimist. My thing is, I don't think they're likely to report themselves to us, but I think that they're probably out there. I think that there's I think it's actually kind of silly to say that there's no way there's more life out there. You know, I'm almost certain that there is. I can't prove it because, you know, apparently none of them are advanced enough to be showing themselves to us, or they're so advanced that they don't have to show themselves to us, one of the two. But that's why I said that alien theories are kind of like, the whole aliens conversation is kind of like it's like an invitation to use your imagination a little bit. It's an it's an invitation to kind of play some games with your own imagination, maybe, and to engage in some interesting thought experiments, because ultimately it's an unfalsifiable hypothesis. I can't prove aliens any more than you can disprove aliens, which is why it's all conjecture. The goats are fighting. 2 of the goats, anyway. And one of them is cut, so I wouldn't think they'd be fighting this much. And really, they don't during the daytime. It's possible, but trying to think you can prove it one way or another is just silly to me. No, I don't think I can prove it. No, I mean, I don't think I can prove it. And I also, I mean, if you were listening earlier, I was talking about how, like, my opinion is either they're not checking in. Like, okay, so, like, my thing is, I don't think they're going to present themselves to us anytime soon if they are watching, because either they're not advanced enough to watch us, or they're advanced enough to watch us. And if they're advanced enough to watch us with, like, ships going by, just the fucking amount of engineering it would take to get some advanced alien civilization from all the way across the other side of the galaxy or whatever to over here in enough time and efficiently enough for it to be worth it or useful at all. Insane level of engineering. That would be an insane level of engineering. And if you had that level of engineering, it's safe to assume you could probably do all kinds of crazy shit that human beings can't do, including build some kind of very discreet, very hard to get a visual on in the vacuum of space camera that just sits out beyond the notice of anyone's satellites, radar, or any kind of other systems, and passively takes constant video and gets updates and things like that. But they could also have even more advanced technology. But, you know, you can't prove it, and like the situation I'm describing kind of, how do I put it? It implies unprovability, basically. Because my argument is if they're advanced enough to observe us, they're clearly advanced enough to observe us without being noticed, just because like we haven't gotten clear, irrefutable proof of aliens yet. And they're also advanced enough to do all the other crazy shit that you would have to do to be able to spy on us for any useful purpose, which implies a whole bunch of technological leaps, some of which might include cloaking technology, landing tech, all kinds of shit that we don't know and don't have access to. Who knows? Nobody. That's kind of the point. I think climate change will be fine if we have enough AC. Our crops will be farmed vertically and be air conditioned. Animals and people will also be air conditioned. The outside will be deadly. Holy shit, dude. I hope you're just being like, I hope you're just doing some like dystopian fan fiction. I don't hope, God, like that's not really your solution, right? I've heard some horrifying fucking solutions to the climate change problem, including my own personal favorite, which I know it's a joke, y'all. Before I even say it, it's a joke. But the joke I always make is like, why don't we just build a really big air conditioner and turn it on? Like, we just build an air conditioner the size of a city and turn that bitch on, and then boom, profit. But yes, I know how thermodynamics work, okay? I know that you can't cool down one area without making another area hotter. I get it, alright? It's a joke. If you really want to fucking think about solutions that will support human life in the future, given the rate at which we're collapsing and all that shit, well, it is going to be kind of crazy, but look to communal dwellings that incorporate green space, that incorporate self-sustenance green space too. So, the ability of people to grow food crops on garden spaces outside of their apartments. Think giant greenhouse towers, because people are going to have to start moving out of climates where it's just too hot. That's literally and unironically the only solution for this shit. Because like the idea that we're just going to stay in places that are unsustainable, and when I say unsustainable, what I mean is that you have to air condition them just to be able to live there, or that you have to air condition them for most of the summer. Because if you got to run a little bit of AC every now and again, that's one thing. Having to run it the way you do down here, you have to run your AC here in Mississippi from roughly April to, I would say, late September, sometimes early October. So that's like, let's see, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, so that's about 6 months. So 6 months out of the year, you got to run AC down here. It's just going to be too hot. 9 days out of 10, probably 19 days out of 20, for being honest. You might get like a week of decent days down here where you don't need AC throughout those months. Otherwise, you're fucking reliant on it. That kind of thing cannot be sustained long term. And I think that the wisest thing to do in this situation with that kind of pressure would be to turn most of the deep south and these other areas of the country that are becoming climatically uninhabitable into areas that are basically just populated by people who are making use of agricultural land in areas where that's feasible in terms of water supply, which should be fine because there's going to be way less people living there. And I just think you're going to have to massively reduce the population. You can keep agriculture going down there, like you can, and in fact, I think it'll probably benefit because there will be so much more bioactivity in these areas if they're depopulated. And you're going to have to move a bunch of fucking people up to the Midwest, the Northeast, and the West Coast. Those are places that will withstand a lot of this climate change shit. Certain areas in the West will resist it through temperature resistance. They're not going to get as hot as a lot of other places are going to get. A lot of places in the Midwest have both water and better temperatures. Northeast has abundant water and really good temps, so the South and Southwest will be nearly uninhabitable in most of our lifetimes. Yeah, it already is near uninhabitable now. Like there are literally people who die every fucking year here in Mississippi because of how hot and humid it is. I don't get how in those slave movies the Mississippi plantation owner walks around in the 97-degree, 97% humidity climate in them Colonel Sanders get-ups and not even sweat a drop. Like how, bro? Phoebes, do you have decommissioned telephone or telegraph lines along those tracks with glass insulations on them? I don't think so. I've never really looked, though. I do remember seeing that kind of thing. I remember what those like connectors look like because I remember asking my parents about them. So I think there might have been at some point because I remember finding some of the connectors on the ground when I was a kid. There definitely had to be some telegraph line ran near here at some point. Every day someone in Mississippi is killed by the shockwaves from passing trains. Probably. Oh, shit. But yeah, you asked how do people sit around all day in those Colonel Sanders get-ups and the fucking 97 degrees, fucking 97% humidity. How the fuck are they doing that without sweating? Well, number one, they were sweating a shit ton. It was very, very, very common in those days for men to carry a handkerchief, sometimes two, one for blowing the nose and that kind of thing, and another just specifically to mop sweat from the brow. But another thing is your body accustoms itself to temperatures. And if you are accustomed from a very young age to dressing up basically every day and dealing with that kind of heat, then your body will become accustomed to that to what degree it can. That's part of it. Another part of it is, frankly, that summers didn't used to be as hot as they are now. 97 degrees and 97% humidity would have been a pretty motherfucking hot summer day in 1860, you know? But it's also worth noting that sometimes that is kind of exaggerated for effect. Like if you watch Django Unchained, you would probably come away with the impression that every fucking person who ran a plantation in Mississippi was a fucking dandy. And that's not the case. On a lot of days that were super hot like that, rather than the whole dandy get up looking like Colonel Sanders, looking like one of them motherfuckers, a plantation owner might wear something way more like basic, like just trousers, some kind of button-down shirt, um, maybe a short-sleeved overcoat or a vest of some kind, maybe a long-sleeve button-up, but with a vest on top of it. But they're like dressing down on days like that too. Another weird thing about super high heat is that super high heat and well, no, this isn't. Okay, never mind. I was remembering that this is something I learned, but it only applies to the desert. I was going to mention that having a bunch of baggy clothes can actually make sense in a super hot area, but then I remembered that only applies if the humidity is low enough. If the humidity is low enough, then the baggy clothes don't have the effect that they have if it's humid. If the humidity is low enough, that means that that means that you sweat. As you sweat, basically, it gets evaporated by your body heat and the surrounding heat, and the water vapor resultant from that kind of seeps through your clothing and helps produce some evaporative cooling kind of shit and help keep a cooler microclimate on your skin. They're getting harder to find. I always look along the tracks for poles with glass insulators. I never found a blue or green one. Always clear or aqua, which sucks. Yeah. Crazy to think of how much the world has changed, isn't it, Winston? Telegraph lines, bro. Man, the world has changed. You know, it is just so, it blows my mind, dude. Humanity was so full of promise and desire and curiosity. Just 150 short years ago. Just 150 short years ago. I mean, you think about it, the very first personal conveyance based on an internal combustion engine was in like the early 1800s, I think, the late 1700s, something like that. And by the time the 1870s roll around, it wasn't easy to get a car or anything like that, but it was beginning to be a thing that you would see in urban areas and in certain rural areas if somebody had one for a particular purpose. It was beginning to be a thing that you could get. There were certain people who produced them, and you know, just that level of development encouraged more people to look into it, and then they looked into it, and then more people looked into their designs, and it just kept cascading and improving and improving and improving and improving. And that wasn't the only thing that was going that way. I mean, trains were the same way. Steam engines just kept getting more advanced and more efficient. The first car was like 1870s, 1880s. Well, I'm thinking it was actually some kind of internal combustion based car-like thing in the early 1800s. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember watching a Top Gear episode about it, and that was one of the things that because they were looking for like the newest, oldest car or something like that. It was like, what is the first modern car? Like the first device that is recognizable as an automobile, completely and fully. Now, their criteria was it has to start up with a key, no hand starts or anything like that. It has to start up with a key, and it has to have four wheels. I don't remember what the other criteria was, but they went through, and the first one that they went to was, it was no, I think it might have been pre-Benz. It might have been pre the first Benz, or it might have been the first Benz. I don't remember. I'm fucking too tired to even remember the facts of this shit. I don't know why I'm talking about it. There is no new land to claim, no fountain of youth, no city of gold. People make it up and make content about flat Earth now. Yeah, ancient aliens built the pyramids. True. Was it steam powered? It might have been, but I don't think it was. I'm thinking the one I'm thinking about is fucking gasoline powered. Maybe it was the first Benz. The Benz patent car. Patent motor carriage, I think it was called. I don't remember. But yeah. Maybe I'm wrong about the dates then. But the point is, you think about how much the world has fucking changed in 150 years. It's 2025 now. 150 years would be 1875. In 1875, the idea of a personal conveyance powered by an engine that you could start, maintain, run as an individual, or an individual with a team of helpers, as was the case for people who could afford a fucking car at the dawn of them. That was such a massive change, and people were so fucking excited for it. Telegraph had already become a pretty widespread technology and was still expanding to even more places. And the idea of people being able to communicate that simply was just taking off, because the utility of it just was endless. You think about all the things that basic technology set up, all of the things it allowed for. We need to go back to steam power. Factories are way too loud with electric machinery. Go deaf in those places now. Steam was quiet. Have the meanies showed up yet? Oh, dude. We're about to be done. The meanies they fucking came and left. It's just down to the cool kids now. Nah, but you don't want steam power to come back, dude. Steam is quieter than electric power, but only just. Like, dude, here's the thing. Is it actually? Is it? Because you think about it and like, yeah, the power source isn't as loud. Because I'm just thinking, I was working at a factory for a while here recently, it could be really hella loud in there. But most of the reason it was loud was like tools that would be loud, whether they were steam powered, air powered, fucking electric powered, doesn't matter. And most of the ones we had in there were air powered, the ones that were making the really loud rackets. A lot of the electric tools that were just like motors or little reciprocating electric tools, things like that, a lot of them weren't that loud. You think about a steam power plant, that's not going to be super loud, but you are going to have somebody there 100% of the time to man the boilers, to make sure they're running optimally. You have downtime, guaranteed downtime, whenever you've got to, either that or you've got to have 2 boilers, or 3 boilers maybe even. You've got to be able to switch between them fluidly, so you've got to maintain at least 2 of them going at all times. I don't know, I'm of 2 minds about this, right, Winston? On the one hand, I kind of agree with you that it would be quieter and it would be a more sustainable way to make things, honestly. Steam power does have the unique advantage over electric power of being something that can be made pretty much sustainable or regenerative just from its implementation directly. You can run steam power off of just wood fuel alone. Sure, charcoal works better, coal works best, but you can run it off of wood fires alone. And a situation where you're constantly growing trees is a pretty good situation. Tree farming is not an inherently bad practice. I don't know that it would be a good option for big, giant manufacturing needs, but I'm a big fan of returning to a smaller, more nuclearized, I don't know how you put it, but basically like a more, I don't know how to put it, balkanized maybe, but some kind of model of production that allows people to produce more things at home and that encourages more people not at home but in smaller operations. Should I paint my nails black with a green metallic cover or black with a pink metallic cover? Pink. I would say pink. Pink with the yeah. Anyway, I'm super tired, so I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm really sleepy. I need to get some sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you guys for hanging out as always. I hope you guys check me out again sometime. I will see y'all later. Bye.